Okay, fab. So as I'm sure all of you know, in a lot of cases, the biggest cost in a business is the people. So in these times and generally all along anyway, you need to make sure that you're getting the best out of your people at all times. So I just want to give you a couple of my tips in terms of, you know, what you guys as managers need to do and think about, how we can build up the confidence for your team members and also how to make them more productive, hopefully. So first thing that I would say is obviously communication. That at the minute, particularly, some people are working at home, some people have been working all throughout in the office, but there's going to be lots and lots of different feelings. People might be worried about coming back, they might be feeling lonely where they've been at home. So communication is going to be key to making sure that in the future your business succeeds and they produce what you need them to produce. So some of the things that we've been doing with my clients has been regular updates. Some of the CEOs have been putting videos together and releasing them once a week just to give an update in terms of what's happening with the business. Is it likely that we're going to open next week? Are we having more people coming in? Just keeping the team involved and up to date, because the last thing you want as well is that anybody that's working at home or currently on furlough feeling like they have no idea where the future is going, what the business is doing over the coming months. So really make an effort of communicating with them. Don't forget as well, you know, we all have them, I'm sure. We don't have the water cooler chats that we're no longer having, the quick chat in the corridor. None of that's going on now. So there'll be lots of information that is being missed between colleagues that you as managers will need to make sure that you make sure carries on within the business. So have structured meetings. So everyone's different, you know, some people will love to have a quick catch up in the morning, a quick catch up in the evening to make sure that they've achieved what they need to achieve. Others don't want you to speak to them at all until the end of a project. So really understand what your teams need and want and make sure that you meet those needs. If you're having structured team meetings, they're great, but don't necessarily just have a meeting for a meeting's sake, just because you've always done it in the office. Make sure that it's a really good use of everyone's time. And another tip that I found recently was don't set your meetings for an hour, because if it's an hour, everyone's going to make sure that it lasts for at least an hour. Set it for 45 minutes, and then each time you have a meeting, you're saving yourself 15 minutes, hopefully minimum, because otherwise everyone's going to make sure that they achieve what they need to do within that time. Also, another thing with meetings is don't say we're having a meeting to discuss X, Y, and Z. As soon as you say discuss, there's not really an output. There's not a purpose for that meeting. We're just going to have a chat, really. So, you know, instead of saying today we're going to discuss the business plan, put in place today the meeting is about agreeing the actions on the next 3 months. You know exactly what you're all going to achieve during that meeting. The team are clear, you're clear, and hopefully you'll address that all very quickly, and then you've again saved your time and they've just been more productive. And as I say, in terms of structured meetings, make sure that you have as well as the informal meetings with your team members, you know, how you're feeling, what's going on, what can I help you with. Have again the structured formal one-to-ones still in place, even if people are working remotely or only in the office once or twice. Make sure you keep those processes going, because that will again make sure that you've got the business set up for the future. Everyone's clear what's expected of them, and everyone's going in the same direction. There's no one assuming anything. Everything is clear for everybody. And as a manager, you know, whether you're working at home or you're in the office, be very clear on your availability and role. It's important that you are there, especially in these uncertain times, and you're giving those clear messages, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be there at their beck and call. And I'll cover that in a little bit more shortly. So the first thing to do with your teams, in my mind, to build that confidence, and that's either whether you're working under these new systems and setups, working at home, or you're only seeing each other once a week because you're in the office different days, and or people have been on furlough and are now gradually coming back to work. What you need to do is build that confidence to make sure that everyone is achieving what you need to do. You know, money's tight now. You need to make sure that those goals and objectives of the business are flowing through down to the business. And as managers, you need to do that and make sure your team have the skills, knowledge and confidence to achieve. So micromanage at first. I think I said before, I don't think I would ever normally say that, but what I mean here is work really closely. Be their coach, be their mentor, lead by example, tell them exactly how you want to work and ask them how they want to work and how you can, and put up a plan, sorry, of how you can work together and be successful. It's about building that confidence so that then once they're ready, they can do the next steps on their own. And once they are ready, put a system in place. So that could be that you ask them to set their targets for the next day at the end of each day. So on a Monday evening, I'm going to write down my 5 things that I need to achieve, sorry, the next day. But they do that. It's not about you saying, right, you need to achieve A, B, and C. It's not about obviously adding to your workloads. It's making sure that they have a system that works for them, that enables them to achieve what you need them to achieve. So eat a frog. Now, I know that doesn't sound very nice at this time of the day, or probably any time of the day, but what do I mean by that? So stop procrastinating and encourage your team to stop procrastinating. So the saying, if you haven't heard it, is if the worst thing that you need to do in a day is eat a frog, then you know that everything else throughout that day is going to be okay. So ask your teams to eat their frogs first thing in the morning. Stop thinking about it, worrying about it, panicking. Get it out the way, and then they can relax and concentrate and focus on the rest of the goals and the objectives of the team. If they have 2 frogs, for example, they've got 2 key duties that they need to achieve that day, make sure they eat the ugliest one first. So in terms of that, as I said earlier, being available and supporting the team, just don't do everything for everybody. Get them to resolve the problems. You know, when you recruited your teams, I assume they had this qualification, this skill, that experience, that knowledge. So don't do everything for everybody. If you always give them the answers for any questions they come to you with, then they're never going to do anything for themselves. One, that's going to stop you achieving what you need to achieve, and it's also going to make them useless, really, because you're just doing their job for them. So be available. Obviously, if they come to you with a question and they're not sure, either answer it with a question or work through it with them. You know, get them to come up with the answer and think about it. I know sometimes, and actually probably more often than not, it's very easy to say, Emma, here's the answer. Yeah, go away, do that. No one's learning from that. You're sort of stopping them from developing and growing and learning more about the job and the role. And also it's stopping you doing what you need to do. So don't do everything and try and get out of that habit. And again, the final one in there is don't always have your door open. Again, we want to build confidence, but by doing that, we're going to ask them to be accountable and to start doing what we need them to do. So again, the support is important. We know that. You have to be supportive. But, you know, if they know that they can either give you a call or send you an instant message every time of the day, then again, they're never going to answer their own questions. They're just going to come to you for the easy option, and then that doesn't help anybody. So again, by following those 5 points, hopefully you'll help to build that confidence within your team. It's not going to happen overnight, and it will be an ongoing process, but by making the small changes each day and supporting them, encouraging them, then that will help to build their confidence. So we all, I'm sure, especially in the current climate, want our people to be productive. So one way that I'm doing this in a lot of my clients is asking them to bring their lion. So every time a team manager has a one-to-one with an employee, they bring their lion to the meeting. Frogs and lions, you know, we're at the zoo today. Sorry. So lion, so what's that mean? So last week, go through their KPIs or their key objectives that you set them or you discussed last week. Have they achieved them? What's the progress on them? And go through that with them. It gives them a focus of looking back and reflecting. The I is the issue. So across this, and it's either a week or a month, depending on obviously how often you would do your one-to-ones, what works within your business. But the I is the opportunity for you both to look at the issues. So what challenges were there? What issues did you come across? Did that stop you achieving your KPIs from last week? How do we resolve them? And again, it's not about you saying, oh, okay, to resolve this, you need to do X, Y, and Z. Work through it together to make sure that they resolve it and they come to that conclusion themselves with your support. The opportunity. So again, you know, we're all working at different levels within the business. We're all coming into contact with lots of different people. We all come up with different ideas and suggestions. So what opportunities have they thought about in that week that can help the company grow, diversify? Can we improve it? Is there something that's taking too much time that actually, if we can now review that, we could save 2 or 3 hours a week, or, you know, we can save X amount of money. Everybody should have the mindset that all the time we're looking at how we're improving the company. It's not just about the senior management team or the directors coming up with these ideas and suggestions. It should be a company-wide, because as I say, at different levels and dealing with different things on a day-to-day basis, we all have different ideas and fresh ideas that, you know, we don't always think about. I think sometimes when you're so engrossed in the bigger picture and the business plan and the strategy and things like that, you don't see some of the simple day-to-day things. So get the team on board and ask them for their opportunities each week so that you can all help to improve the business. And then next week, so what is the key deliverable for next week? Again, that may be one thing, or it may be a couple of smaller things, but what do you expect them to come to you with as next week or next month with their L, and how they've done that? So key priorities. The L and the N obviously ensures momentum and accountability for the employee. So we're looking back over what they've achieved, and then they're looking forward in terms of what we are going to achieve. It means, again, that everyone's accountable, not just the management team. And it's very clear. It's a very short, succinct structure for you to run your team meetings, one-to-ones particularly, to ensure that the business succeeds. And then finally, I'm not going to go through these in detail, but as managers and as business owners, and, you know, supporting other businesses as well, as I know some of you do, I think we really now need to start thinking about these 3 areas. So recruitment might change. You know, I know things are easing and lots of us are going back to work and businesses are reopening. So that might mean that recruitment is increasing, and therefore what do we need to do to make sure that we get that right? But the other not concern, but I suppose the other issue some businesses might have is that we're going to have more people working from home. And as I'm sure lots of us have found over the last few months, there are challenges of working from home, and actually it doesn't suit everybody. So if you're looking at expanding your team, what are the key attributes that you would need from your team members now? They might be different to before COVID started, and, you know, we're recruiting different people for the office. So think about those things. Think about whether or not you need to change your job descriptions or change your roles. It's, you know, really the big picture about now and also in the future, but prepare for those sorts of things. Team development, unfortunately for me, and obviously a number of businesses I've been working with, you know, we have made redundancies over the last couple of weeks. And that has meant that, unfortunately, some duties will obviously go, but there will be some managers or team members that are staying that are going to be required to just take on a little bit more. So what are you going to do to support those people in terms of their development? Do they need a little bit more support? Is there external courses or online courses? You know, there's lots of opportunities out there which don't have to cost a huge amount to develop your team members. So again, maybe within your one-to-ones, or if you have regular appraisals, then it may be a discussion about what training do we need, because it probably will be different to what it was 3-4 months ago. And in terms of, I suppose, linking with Lisa, that might be part of your business plan and your budgets as well, that you're thinking about, do we need a budget for these sorts of things in the future? And again, health and safety, you know, not my area of expertise, but there are going to be areas that if, again, people are working from home, you need to, on a permanent basis, you need to consider things like their risk assessments, home working assessments and things like that. Do you provide all the equipment, and how does it work? Have they got the right space and things like that? Basically, obviously keeping your team safe. And at the same time as well, obviously coming back into the office, there are going to be health and safety challenges, as we know, that we will need to consider. So hope that's been helpful, and I'll pass over to Emma. Thank you.